Welcome to English Podcast.
Hello everyone, I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. If you're looking to boost your English in a fun and easy way, you're in the right place.
In every episode, we break down English words and phrases, making them simple so that you can understand them easily.
So grab a snack, sit back, and let's dive into today's topic.
All right, Eric, let's hear today's words.
The first word today is I'll pass. Then we will continue with for good and just in case. Then to count somebody in. The final one is can't complain.
Wow, all of the words today are very common phrases used in daily English.
Yes, Lisa, that's right. From now on, we will focus on everyday expressions more often. I hope our viewers will like it.
I think they'll like Eric because they will learn to speak like natives. Okay, great. Let's start with the first word.
The first word is I'll pass.
I'll pass.
I'll pass.
I'll pass is a phrase we use when we want to say no to something. It means that we don't want to do it.
Yes, it is a polite way of saying no to an offer. For example, if someone offers you some food, but you are not hungry, you can say, I'll pass.
Exactly. It's useful in many situations where you want to refuse something without being rude.
Now let's give some example sentences with I'll pass.
Okay, I'll start. Do you want to join us for a movie tonight? I'll pass, thanks. I have a lot of work to do. It means that the person is saying no to the movie because they have work to finish.
That's a good explanation. Now I'll do the second one. My friends invited me to go skiing with them, but I said I'll pass because I don't like cold weather.
Now let's move to our example dialogue. Imagine Tom and Jessica are talking at a coffee shop.
Hey Jessica, do you want to try the new cake they have here?
I think I'll pass. I'm trying to eat healthier.
Okay, no problem. How about some coffee then?
I'll pass on that too. I already had 2 cups this morning.
That was a nice example of dialogue, Lisa.
It's a simple and effective way to say.
Sure. For instance, if someone asks me to go to a horror movie, I might say, I'll pass. I don't like scary films.
That's a good one too. I might use it if someone offers me sushi because I don't like raw fish. I'd say, thanks, but I'll pass on the sushi.
It's definitely a useful phrase for situations where you want to say no to something politely. Do you think there are any other ways to say I'll pass?
Yes, there are a few other phrases with similar meanings like no thanks, I'm good, or maybe next time.
Those are all great alternatives. Using different words is a good way to avoid sounding boring.
Absolutely. It's also important to remember that tone of voice and body language can help you to be polite when declining an offer.
That's a great point. Well, I think we've covered I'll pass pretty well. Remember, listeners, you can use this phrase to decline offers or invitations politely.
We hope this explanation was helpful and easy to understand. Let's move on to our next word. What's the next word, Eric?
The next word is for good.
For good.
For good.
For good is a phrase we use to mean forever or permanently. It's used when something happens forever.
Yes, it's like saying, this change will last forever. For example, they moved to the city for good.
Exactly. We use this phrase to show that something is permanent and will not change back.
Good examples, Lisa. Now let's give some extra examples.
Okay. For example, after living abroad for many years, she decided to come back home for good. It means that she lived in another country for a long time, but now she plans to stay in her home country and not move away again.
Okay, this is mine. He gave up smoking for good. It means that he stopped smoking and will never start again.
It's a good explanation and the right decision. Everybody should stop smoking. Okay. Let's move to our example dialogue. Imagine Tom and Anna are talking in a park.
Hi, Tom. Did you hear the news? John is moving to Australia for good.
Hi, Anna. Yes, I heard. He said he wanted to start a new life there. For good.
Wow, that's a big change. I hope he likes it there.
Me too. It will be different, but I think he will be happy for good.
That was a nice example of dialogue, Lisa.
Yes, I think it helps to understand how to use for good in different situations. Can we use for good in different contexts, like at work or with friends, Eric?
Yes, we can. For example, at work, the company policy has changed for good. And with friends, they have decided to stay in the city for good.
Oh, I see, but that makes sense. Can we use for good in more formal situations?
It's usually used in informal settings, but it can also be used in a more formal setting, like in letters or official statements. It just means something is permanent.
Great. I think our listeners will find this very helpful.
I hope so. In English, using for good is a good way to show that something is permanent, not temporary.
Yes, and it's very useful for everyday conversations. Let's move on to our next word, Eric.
The next word is just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case and is a phrase we use to talk about taking action or preparing for a possible situation. It's like saying, if something happens, you are taking action because something else might happen.
That's right. Here's an example sentence. I always carry an umbrella just in case it rains.
It means that the person carries an umbrella to be prepared for the possibility of rain, even if it's not raining at the moment.
Here's another example. I'll bring some extra food just in case we get hungry later.
In this sentence, the person is bringing extra food because they might be hungry later, even if they're not hungry at the moment.
Now let's have a sample dialogue using just in case. Imagine Sarah and Mike are at a picnic.
Hey, Mike, did you bring the sunscreen?
Yeah, I brought it, just in case it gets too sunny.
Great! I also packed some bug spray, just in case there are mosquitoes.
Good thinking. It's always better to be prepared.
In this dialogue, Sarah and Mike use just in case to discuss being prepared for potential situations, such as the strong sun or the mosquitoes.
It's a really useful phrase for everyday situations. Do you have any other examples, Eric?
Sure. For example, when I travel, I always make a copy of my passport, just in case I lose the original.
That's a smart idea. I also like to bring a portable charger, just in case my phone battery dies while I'm out.
It's always good to think ahead and be prepared for different scenarios. Is just in case more commonly used in spoken or written English, Lisa?
It's more common in spoken English because it's a casual phrase. In writing, you might see more formal alternatives.
That makes sense. It's definitely a phrase I hear a lot in everyday conversations.
Absolutely, it's a simple but effective way to express the idea of being ready.
Well, I think that covers our explanation of just in case. Remember, listeners, this phrase means to be careful or ready for something that might happen.
Let's move on to our next word. What's the next word, Eric?
The next word is count somebody in.
Count somebody in.
Count somebody in.
Count somebody in is a phrase we use when we want to include someone in an activity or event.
Yes, it's like saying include someone or add them. For example, we're having a party. Count John in. It means John will join the party as well.
Exactly. We use this phrase to show that someone wants to join any kind of activity.
Now, let's give some example sentences with count somebody in.
Sure, here they are. If you are going to the concert, count me in. It means I will come with you. Count Sarah in for the picnic on Saturday. It means Sarah will go on the picnic as well.
Excellent examples. Now let's move to our example dialogue. In this dialogue, imagine Mike and Lily are talking in the school cafeteria.
Hi, Mike. We are organizing a charity. Run this weekend. Do you want to join us?
Hi, Lily. Yes, count me in. I'd love to participate.
Awesome. We also need someone to organize the event.
Count me in for that, too. I can help set up the tables and chairs.
This dialogue shows how count somebody in can be used in different situations. Eric, have you ever said count me in for something?
Yes, I once volunteered for a beach cleanup. When I heard about it, I said, "Count me in," because I care about the environment. How about you, Lisa?
I remember when our office had a baking contest. I love baking. So I immediately said, "Count me in," and I came in second place.
Wow, congratulations, Lisa.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, it's great to be involved in things we care about. Listeners, next time if there's an opportunity, don't hesitate to say, "Count me in," and be part of something fun or meaningful.
Good advice, Eric. Okay, let's move on to the last word today.
The next word is can't complain.
Can't complain.
Can't complain. It's a casual phrase people use when they're doing okay and don't have any big problems to talk about. It's like saying, "I'm fine," or "things are good enough."
That's a common response. How would you use it in a sentence, Eric?
Well, if someone asks, "How's work going?" you might say, "Can't complain. It's been busy, but I'm managing." It means that work is okay and you have no big issues with it.
I see. And another example?
If someone asks about your health, you could say, "Can't complain," or "I can't complain. I've been feeling pretty good lately." It means that your health is fine and there's nothing to worry about.
I can't complain or can't complain. Which one is correct, Eric? Both?
Both are correct and can be used in conversation, Lisa. The difference is that "I can't complain" is a complete sentence with a subject I, while "can't complain" is a more casual response. Here's how you might use them. For example, "How are you?" "I can't complain, thanks." Can't complain is a shorter, more informal way to say the same thing. For example, "How's life treating you?" Can't complain.
Good explanation, Eric. Thank you. Now let's use can't complain in a sample dialogue. Imagine two neighbors, Rosa and Karen, meeting in the morning.
Morning, Karen. How are you today?
I can't complain, Rosa. The sun is shining, and I had a great cup of coffee.
Good to hear. And how are the kids?
They're doing well, thanks. Can't complain at all.
That dialogue really shows how can't complain is used in everyday conversation. Eric, do you often say can't complain?
Yes, especially when I catch up with old friends. It's a quick way to say that life is treating me well. What about you, Lisa?
I use it too. When my colleagues ask about my weekend, I usually say, "I can't complain. It was relaxing."
It's a positive phrase that keeps the conversation light and friendly.
Listeners, next time someone asks how you are, try saying, "I can't complain if everything's going well."
Good advice. Okay, we have reached to the end of our podcast.
We hope you're enjoying learning with us.
And remember, even if you have small problems, sometimes it's okay to say, "Can't complain," and focus on the good things. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. The podcast where we make learning English simple and fun. I am Lisa.
And I am Eric. In each episode, we explain 5 English words and phrases in a way that's easy to understand, even if you're just starting out.
So let's get started and make English simple together. Okay. Could you tell us today's phrase, Eric?
Sure, Lisa. The first word today is "I'm just saying." Then we will continue with "It's up to somebody," and "I've had enough." Then "On someone own." And the final one is "Don't sweat it."
All of them are common phrases that are used in spoken English.
Yes, Lisa. You might hear them very commonly.
So let's start with the first phrase, Eric.
The first word is "I'm just saying."
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying is a phrase used to express an opinion or make a soft comment because you don't want to be critical and not offend the person.
It's a way to make your statement or suggestion softer, like emphasizing that you are not criticizing. You are just giving feedback or a suggestion.
Yes, Lisa. Here's an example. "I know you love that shirt, but it might be a bit too casual for the wedding. I'm just saying." It means that the shirt is serious for the wedding, just a suggestion, but I don't mean to be rude.
Good. Now my example. Maybe you should call her, I'm just saying. It means that I think you should call her, but it's just a suggestion.
Great, now let's hear a sample dialogue using I'm just saying.
What do you think about my presentation, Mary?
Well, it was a bit long. I'm just saying, maybe next time you can make it shorter.
You might be right. Anything else?
Also, you talked very fast. I'm just saying, slowing down could help people understand better.
In the dialogue, Mary uses I'm just saying to give John some feedback about his presentation. She uses it to make her comments softer.
Yes, and when she says, I'm just saying maybe next time you can make it shorter, she gives a suggestion without being too direct or rude.
Exactly. Do you use I'm just saying sometimes, Lisa?
Yes, I do. For example, if I think a friend is making a mistake, but I don't want to be very direct, I might say, I'm just saying, maybe you should think about it more.
That's a great example of using the phrase to offer advice without being critical.
Exactly. I wanted to suggest a possible solution, but also make it clear that it was just my opinion. How about you, Eric? Do you use I'm just saying?
I use it too. Sometimes at work, when I want to give advice but not be too forceful, I say, I'm just saying this alternative is better.
It is a good way to use the phrase in that way. You offer your opinion, but you also respect others' opinions.
I agree, it can make your opinions and comments softer and more polite.
Okay, Eric, let's move on to the next word.
The next word is, it's up to somebody.
It's up to somebody.
It's up to somebody.
It's up to somebody means that the person can decide or choose what to do. For example, if you say, it's up to you, it means you can make the decision or do whatever you want.
Yes, and if we use a verb after the phrase, we put to after up. It's like, it's up to you to go on or not. Now let's look at some example sentences.
I'll start. Here is the first example. It's up to you. You can choose the restaurant. I am fine with all. It means that you can decide which restaurant we go to.
Good. Now the second example. It's up to him to finish the project. It means that he has the responsibility to finish the project.
Great examples. Now let's hear a sample dialogue using it's up to somebody.
I don't know what to do this weekend.
Well, it's up to you. You can stay home or go out.
What about the movie night? Should we invite James?
It's up to you. If you think he would like it, then invite him.
In the dialogue, Sarah and Tom are talking about what to do for the weekend. Tom tells Sarah that she can make the decision. He says, it's up to you.
Yes, and when Sarah asks about inviting James, Tom says, it's up to you again. This means Sarah can choose if she wants to invite James or not.
Exactly, Lisa. Do you sometimes say, it's up to you in your daily life?
Yes, I do. For example, when my friends and I decide where to eat, I often say, it's up to you, if I don't have a specific preference. What about you, Eric?
I use it too. At work, when my team needs to choose a project to start, I sometimes say, it's up to the team to let them decide.
That's a good way to give people the option to choose. Do you think it's important to let others make decisions?
Yes, I do. It shows trust and respect. Also, it can make people feel more involved and responsible.
I agree. Letting others decide can be very positive. It's a simple way to show that you think their opinion is also important.
Exactly. So remember, it's up to somebody is a useful phrase for letting others make a decision. It's helpful in many situations, whether with friends, family, or at work.
Yes, and it's also very easy to use. It's up to you. That's it.
Yes, that's it, Lisa. Okay, let's continue with the next word. The next word is, I've had enough.
I've had enough.
I've had enough. This phrase is used when someone is frustrated or tired of a situation or something and doesn't want to continue with it. It's like saying, I don't want any more of this.
That's a strong expression, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Lisa. Let me give you an example. I've had enough of this noise. I'm going to find a quieter place to work. It means that the person is annoyed by the noise and wants to leave.
And another example, she said, I've had enough of your lies, I am leaving. This means that she could not tolerate his lies anymore and decided to leave.
Now, let's listen to an example dialogue about the phrase.
I've been on this diet for a month now, and I've had enough. I miss chocolate too much. I'm going to give it up.
I know it's hard, but think about the results. You've said you've had enough before and gave up. Then you were very sad because you gave up. It's not the right decision to say, I've had enough and give up now.
Yes, maybe. You're right.
That dialogue shows how I've had enough can be used in different contexts. Eric, have you ever felt like saying, I've had enough?
Yes. When I was learning to play the guitar, I sometimes felt like saying, I've had enough, because it was so challenging. What about you, Lisa?
I've felt that way when I'm stuck in traffic. Sometimes I think, I've had enough of this traffic. I should start taking the train.
It's a phrase that really expresses our limits. Listeners, remember that you can say, I've had enough, when you need a break or a change.
Okay, I think our listeners understood this explanation. So what is the next word, Eric?
The next word is on someone's own.
On someone's own.
On someone's own. On someone's own means doing something alone, without help from other people. It's a way of saying you are doing it alone.
When you do something, if nobody helps you, you can say, on my own.
Exactly, Lisa. Let's give some examples so that our listeners understand better. I'll start. She finished the project on her own. It means that she completed the project by herself without any help.
Now the second example. She decided to start her own business on her own. It means that she made the decision and started the business without assistance.
Great. Now let's hear a sample dialogue using on someone's own.
Did you hear that? Mark built his new computer on his own.
Wow, really? That's impressive. I didn't know he could do it on his own.
Yes, he spent all weekend working on it, and now it's done.
I wish I could do something like that on my own.
In the dialogue, Emma and Sophie discuss how Mark built his computer by himself. They use on his own to show that he did it without anybody's help.
Yes, when Emma says Mark built his new computer on his own, it means he didn't have any help.
Now, let's talk about the phrase a bit more. Lisa, have you done anything on your own recently?
Yes, I have. I recently learned how to bake bread on my own. It was fun and a bit challenging. What about you, Eric?
I painted my living room on my own last month. It took a lot of time, but I felt very proud afterward.
It's a great example. Do you think doing things on your own is important?
I think it depends. Sometimes it might be difficult to do something on your own. You might need someone to help you. But on the other hand, it helps us learn and become more independent. It can also be very satisfying to complete something on your own.
I agree. In some cases, doing things on your own can be a great way to challenge yourself and grow.
Exactly. So remember, listeners, on someone's own is a useful phrase to show that you are doing something without help from others.
That's right. We hope our listeners found this explanation helpful. Now let's move on to our last word, Eric.
The last word is don't sweat it.
Don't sweat it.
Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it means don't worry about it or don't be stressed about it. It's a way to tell someone to relax and not to be anxious.
That's a very comforting phrase. Can you give us an example sentence, Eric?
Sure. If someone apologizes for being a few minutes late, you might say, "Don't sweat it. You're here now."
It means that being late is not a big issue. Now, the second example. Don't sweat it, everything will be fine. It means that the person shouldn't worry, because everything will be okay.
Great example, Lisa. Now, let's make a sample dialogue. Imagine two team members, Kevin and Anna, working on a project.
I'm sorry. I didn't finish my part of the report on time.
Don't sweat it, Kevin. We still have time before the deadline.
Thanks, Anna. I'll make sure it's done by tomorrow.
No worries. I know you'll do a great job. Don't sweat it.
That dialogue shows how "don't sweat it" can be used in a supportive way. Eric, have you ever had to tell someone, "don't sweat it"?
Yes, when a friend of mine was stressed about hosting a party, I told her, "Don't sweat it. Everyone will have a good time." How about you, Lisa?
I used it when my sister was worried about a test. I said, "Don't sweat it. You've studied hard and you'll do fine." Eric, do you think it's important to use phrases like "don't sweat it" in conversations?
Yes, I think it is. It helps to reassure people and make them feel better. It's a kind way to tell someone to relax.
I agree. Using phrases like "don't sweat it" can help calm others and show that we care about their feelings.
Exactly. Remember, "don't sweat it" is a useful phrase for telling someone not to worry or stress about something.
So we have reached the end of our podcast. We hope you found it helpful and fun.
Remember to practice using the words and phrases we talked about, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time for more simple explanations of English words and phrases.
Until then, keep practicing and keep learning. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.